Tim, man, great seeing you.
You too.
The last time I saw you was about, say, a year and a half, and there was a lot of stuff that was going. I think we got fans behind you over there. Look at me trying to wave like
I
they
love
care
Canada.
about weather. Anyways, as we were saying, the last time that we had a chance to talk, you had left your record company. You were working on, well, just releasing a new album, and everything worked out great for you, man. I want you to talk about that because after the album was released, it was like you were winning awards, you were able to perform. What was that like for you, man, to actually almost redeem yourself?
Well, you know, it was sort of a rebirth for me, and I felt good about music again. You know, I felt good about going in the studio. I felt a new energy. You know, it's great to have great people working for you and great people around you and great people who are enthused about what you do. And that, in turn, that got me enthused about what I was doing. And I think we made a great album out of it.
Well, you definitely did. So after that, I mean, there was a lot of pressure for you to see how things were going to work out. What was the concept on this album? I mean, did you have pressure working on this new album? I mean, what was that like for you to have all that already done and being able to work in a different perspective?
Yeah, you know, I don't think that I look at it as pressure. I think as an artist, you have to go in to a certain extent with blinders on. You have to go in and sort of, you take in all the things that you take in, all your environmental things and all of your life things and all the things that involve being an artist, whether you're a painter, whether you're an actor, whether you're a musician, whether anything that you do that's artistic, all the things that you live in your life plays a part in that. But when you get into the studio and you start making a record, I don't think you go in with, like, I have to make a record that's going to make my fans happy, or I have to make a record that's going to make my record company happy, or I have to make a record that's going to make radio happy. You have to make a record that's going to make you happy as an artist. And if you start there and you lead with your heart doing that, then the pressure doesn't really matter. It's just about making a record that makes you happy as an artist, and then the rest will find its way.
Well, talk about the new album and the concept. Is there a concept for this?
Well, you know, I always start sonically with a record. I always have these sounds in my head, and you know, whether it be a piano sound or a keyboard sound or a drum sound or a guitar sound, all these kind of things that I have in my head that I want to come out in the record. So I always start from that point of view, and then I find songs and I try to find, well, this sound fits this song, and then it evolves as you get into the studio. And you get into the studio with these great musicians who play fantastically, and you start brainstorming on things, and you start playing these songs, and then it sort of grows into its own sort of thing after that. And I think the first song that we cut was a song called Dust on the new album, and it just sort of laid down just sonically an attitude that this record was going to have, and I think the rest of the record sort of followed that attitude. And there's a lot of different styles of music on the record, and I've always tried to do that throughout my career. I think if you look throughout my career and you looked all the way through the landscape of my career, you'll see a broad variety of music. And I think on every album you'll see that as well, and this album is no different. I think that there is a certain amount of some of the things that I've done throughout my career that you'll hear, you know, like maybe Green Grass Grows, you might hear a little bit of that sort of influence in some of the records that I made, but you'll also hear something like off the last album, Friend of a Friend, which was sonically one of my favorite songs off the last album, and Two Lanes of Freedom, which were probably one of my favorite songs off the last album. You'll hear some sonic influences from those two records on this album as well.
Now, on this album, though, you and your wife finally performing duet together. What was that like?
It was fantastic. You know, she's one of the finest singers in the world. I know I'm biased, but I'm also an artist, and I think that she's fantastic. And anytime I can sing with her, I jump at the chance. I mean, she just brings such a legitimacy to a record because she's such a real artist.
You know, you got all these great things going on. I mean, it must have disappointed you about what happened just recently with this whole concert thing when somebody was grabbing you and they were accusing you of almost of an assault or something crazy like that.
Well, look, you know, you have to keep things in perspective and keep things in the context in which they happened. It was a conducive environment. I reacted instinctively and defensively. I'm not going to say what anybody else's perspective was, but from my perspective, I reacted instinctively and defensively as anybody would. And it's an unfortunate incident. I certainly wish the incident would have never happened, but it did. And you know, as long as you keep it in context and perspective, then I think you just have to move on from it.
Well, definitely. I mean, your fans love you, man. I mean, we're trying to do this interview. As you can see, they're They keep screaming for you. I don't know why I keep waving like they care about me or anyway.
Man, they love you.
No, they don't, but they love you. I mean, you're here at the Molson Canadian Amphitheatre performing them. I mean, that's got to be a love for you, just being able to perform for these fans.
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, this career has given me so much in my life. Music has given me so much. I wouldn't have met my wife without music and been in this business. So everything good in my life has come from music, and I choose to look at it that way.
So, anything else is going to be happening? I mean, we got the album coming out. Any movies, any other projects that are going to be happening soon?
A new movie I think comes out. I think it's going to come out in 2015 called Tomorrowland with George Clooney, Hugh Laurie. It's a crazy futuristic movie, which I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product. And there's a few other things in the works, but I just have to get past the tour and see what my timeline looks like.
Okay, well, your timeline is you got to get out there, you got to perform, so I got to let you go. So thank you so much for doing this interview.
Right on, man. Good talking to you. Got it.
Beautiful.